How's it going? Another post-void post here. So, yeah, figured I would discuss something a little off topic, a little different than what I normally do. It's not really current events or any news like that. It's actually an old story that I have from back in 2014. Oddly, I don't know how. Some people in the circle have been talking about this, but I guess when they bring it up, they've been meeting some backlash, and I figured I would put my own testimonial to this. Uh, two podcasts that I follow are the Madman's Rants with Richard Devine, and El COVID, where he runs his Rained Out Rantcast as well too. Both rantcasts or rant podcasts. So that's the Madman's Rant and also Rained Out Rantcast as well too, have been equally talking about this. Weather modification. Yeah. Weather modification. Now, that's something that you could extrapolate it, and you could talk chemtrails, or, you could talk something simple. You could talk about the fact that possibly they could rain out a festival by doing something along those lines. Like they've said in their podcast, all you need are 3 permits, and that exists. All of this exists. This has been going on since the 60s. I've been saying this for probably a decade now, at least, that there's numerous ways. It's like there's towers sometimes that shoot it up. It uses like aluminum particles in the air. It's actually technically not harmful, but it can create rain. It basically sponges together little raindrops and creates the clouds. It's cloud seeding. I mean, if you actually look up like how it's believed that the Native Americans did that with their they would put weird things in their campfires and they would seed clouds. That's not too far-fetched. It's pretty based in science, actually. So, getting on to what I was talking about here. There was a festival I went to in 2014. And a lot of my peers have also went to this festival or heard about this festival. And there were a lot of things that went on around there. Not just... I kind of gave away the spoiler, but not just the spoiler. So, the Hudson Project right here, it might be reversed since, I'm using the reverse camera. Spin it around if I can. But the Hudson Project in Mariahville... Oh, no, Saugerties, sorry. The Hudson Project in Saugerties, Saugerties, New York. Now, this location was on a farm, I think. Yeah, it was on a farm because there was a big farm at the top of the hill. I believe it was the location of 1994's Woodstock. The one that did not set on fire, but notoriously rained out. Yeah, so, anyways, this quick background. The festival was replacing another festival that had gone on annually that was in Mariahville, and it was at the Indian Lookout Country Club, the ILCC, or Indian Lookout Country Club, or something like that. ILCC. If you search ILCC New York, should pop up. It's very peculiar because it's a Native American reservation ran by the Hells Angels, apparently. And the more peculiar part about that was that it was a festival where no police officers were allowed in unless there was a death warrant. Yeah, it was pretty serious. A lot of crazy bands played there. It was straight up anarchy in the middle of a freaking dust-covered field. Like, it was... I mean, I've heard some shady things. I've had experiences. It's for another day to talk about when it pertains to that. But at least you knew kind of what you were signing up for when you went in there. Yeah. So the Hudson Project was the replacement for Camp Bisco at the ILCC, and that was now Camp Bisco's held on a fucking ski resort or quote unquote in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's not the same at all. It's actually the complete opposite of what it used to be. Or bare knuckle freaking anarchy as it used to be. There was this little weird in between period called the Hudson Project, and so we got there. me and my buddies got there. I paid for the more expensive spot, so we thought it was better. And they got the car camping all the they had the they weren't able to camp on site. They had to camp or park their car way over and then bring all their gear over to camp. We were like, oh, we're lucky. We get to freaking park our car right here. So we park our car, we go in. First thing I notice is that there are weird collared cops. They're not security, because I know how security acts. They are acting like cops, but more than like cops, like stadies. But they're don't have a badge on, and they're just wearing brown or gray or navy blue collared shirts. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this supposed to be some sort I later found through a security. I'll get to that. So anyways, just remember those collared shirt guys. And they started getting more and more serious as the days went on. And they started searching more and more questionable locations. There were also, when we pulled into the campsites, telephone poles with street lights set up about every 50 feet with cameras, little camera poles. And now most of us just came from a festival that was almost complete total anarchy, like I said. And now we're camping in an area full of freaking cameras. And all the campsites are named after boroughs in New York City. I stayed in the Bronx. Yeah, and that was muddy as fuck. So it started getting really weird. First day even, I was like, well, the music's really good, the people are really good here, but it seems like the setup is set up to get us. And and they kept changing the last person, I always look at a festival, I'm like, who's going to end this festival? And they kept changing it. It was supposed to be either Tipper, Infected Mushroom, or Bass Nectar. All three very esoteric artists. But anyways, yeah, so from the get-go, I'm like, I don't know how this shit's ending. How is this shit ending? They keep changing it on us. And there were some very, very... I'm not going to get into the festival stories of it. The Flaming Lips played a very interesting set where someone had a seizure during the end of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, their cover, and the cover of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, when they started, it was like, da-da-da, and they just blasted a bunch of colors at us at once, and somebody apparently had a seizure. I've heard stories that it was faked. Now I heard that story during that day, so already there was this aura of just conspiracy around this festival, on top of all the cops on top of us. Second day, we noticed that there's Mounties now on horses. The horses are shitting in the fucking trails, walking by us. We're like, holy shit, why are there Mounties? This is almost absurd now. This is just some sort of weird New York power play or something. And it just started getting insane. They started searching our wallets and stuff and our shoes. They had us take off our shoes to get into the festival ground. Yeah, it's not a thing that's normal. Even New York City or California, they don't have you take off your shoes to get into a festival that you've already been camping in. It seemed very they were trying to program. So I meet up with, there was one security guy that was giving me the heads up. He's like, yo, I'm not with these guys. They hired me because I'm normally working with the dead and stuff. He's like, yo, they're searching wallets. He was warning all of us, kind of low key. You'd go through we'd see him walk through the campsites, and he would come to the campsites, you're fucking searching wallets. Don't fucking put your shit in your wallet. And we're like, oh, thank you, dude. And he's an interesting fellow. I would say, though, that I honestly do trust him, me knowing very far down the rabbit hole, because this guy, he's something else. I haven't seen him actually in maybe about 3 years. But yeah. So, Dead Body. Anyways, or his name is anyways, so, yeah, that's his nickname. I'm not going to say anymore. And he appeared in our campsite, sitting, just smoking a bowl on the very last set of the second night. So I just come back from Fortet. I skipped Moby. Moby was really dumb. Moby was as you would expect Moby to be in 2014. Yeah, just idiot. So like, I go to Fortet. I come back from Fortet, and I see him sitting in my campsite. I'm like, oh my god, it's you! I was just talking about you, dude. I was talking to I'm like, oh yeah, there's some cool security guards here too. Like, I was just mentioning that. I was like, your ears must have been ringing. And he's like, oh yeah, yours too. And I'm like, oh shit. So like, and bear in mind, I'm not wearing like a wristband with an RFID chip on or anything like that. I don't have my cell phone on me. So I'm like, how the fuck? So like, we walk and talk, and he starts telling me, he's like, oh yeah, no, the third day ain't happening. And I'm like, well, I've been noticing they've been switching the headliner for the last night, but I've kind of been jokingly saying that, but you're telling me it's not going to happen? He's like, oh no, it's going to rain out. The entire thing's going to rain out. You better get out of here by like 4 o'clock. And I'm like, what the fuck? The report says it's clear blue skies. There's people that are coming down here on the Sunday to buy day tickets. It's the only day they offer day tickets. And like they didn't turn away because they thought there was going to be rain. There was no report for rain. So I like almost didn't even believe him. But he started telling me some esoteric stuff anyways about loosh harvesting and how, it's all just an energy gathering and a giant ritual. And he started pointing out things in the festival. And he's like, hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Symbolism, 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 symbolism. The name is Project. And I'm like, I do notice all the agency guys around here. He's like, yep, they're agencies. I'm surprised you caught that. I'm like, yeah, they're different collared shirts. They look like brown, like collared shirts. He's like, yeah, man, each one's a different agency, and they aren't supposed to, that's why they're wearing the shirts. Like, they're off duty. I'm like, what the fuck? So, yeah, he eventually walked me up to the mansion where they were supposed to have the after party, and the other security guy didn't let me go through, and I let him go walk on. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm not going to try to, get you fired here. Let's go on. Thanks for the info. So I came back and told all my friends. I'm like, well, this trusted source tells me it's going to rain tomorrow, and nobody believed me. Well, I'm just going to fast forward here. The 3 acts that were supposed to end the festival, or numerous acts, were Action Bronson, Base Nectar, Infected Mushroom, Tipper, STS9, and Starfucker, and a couple other ones. So a lot of, big named artists, and they were expecting a riot. I know for a fact they were expecting a riot. They didn't know what was going to happen. They were expecting anarchy. It's like a Woodstock thing. They were like, oh, is this going to turn into Woodstock 4 or Woodstock 99? Is this place going to set on fire, or are they all just going to dance around in the rain? It ended up being a lot sadder than both of those. Yeah, so a lot of people showed up right on the dot. They started parking them just on site now, and they're ready to go see the music and stuff like that. Of course, this is around 4 or 5 o'clock. Everybody's people, this last day of the festival, everyone's taking all the drugs they can and stuff like that. I mean, I was inebriated at the time. I couldn't drive a car. I wouldn't want to drive on my vacation. I'm not planning on driving a car at 5 o'clock on my vacation. Yeah. Thunderstorms start happening. Right then, I tell everyone in my campsite, we got to go now. This is the warning I was warned about. This isn't passing. This is not a passing storm. Something's going on. And thunder, fucking mad, rain, just poof. I'm almost how the fuck could they have conceded this? Because it's so much rain. And it was too much rain. So we all kind of ran to the car as my friend's driving a Jeep. His Jeep started sinking into the mud. I'm like, yo, dude, we're stuck here. We're stuck. I was seeing people in raised trucks just trying to get the fuck out of this mud, and they're spinning their mufflers into the mud. I saw a truck sink its freaking engine block into the mud like quicksand. I was like, what the? Because all these people are tripping, and they're like, oh my god, I need to get the fuck out of here. And they're like, the people told me to leave. What do I do? And they couldn't leave. And I'm like, oh my god, people crying in this muddy field and stuff. I was like, what the fuck? So then next, that night comes, we don't leave the car. We're like, all right. And to the blessing of God, Jim caught one of the farmers that had just come into the lot. Because all these farmers are like, I can make money off of this. And he caught a tractor and bribed him $50 to pull us out. And we got home. Now, we got home. We're looking at the freaking YouTube videos popping up now, and there's people just like sliding down these hills, like yeah. And there's there's YouTubes of people's tents just getting. Well, look up Hudson Project on YouTube. MUD Mudson, like Hudson, but Hudson Project. You will find so many videos of these. But the one kicker is though, is I remember there were Mounties walking around with horses the day before, and I'm like, ha, everyone's sliding around in horse shit right now, and they don't even realize it because they don't remember yesterday. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't swim in that freaking worm mess. Ugh. Yeah, so, also, too, some people couldn't get out. Couldn't get their cars out of that mud. Cars were ruined. The Red Cross came in it took them 6 days to get out of this festival. You go to a festival for 3 days. 6 days later, almost into the next week, they're still stuck there in freaking Saugerties, New York. Like their community center, like getting fed by the Red Cross. And like finally, like they got shipped home, and I don't know if insurance had to cover that or what, but like, yeah. At the end of the day, the whole moral of the story is that it seems like Occam's razor, using Occam's razor there. Yeah. It seems like that there was some sort of cloud seeding going on. And you don't need to get the permits if you're a government agency doing it for a test or maybe for a project. Wonder who put that festival on in the first place. What agency calls things projects again? Huh. Yeah. On that note, music was interesting. It was a fun time. I don't regret it. But, yeah, just thought I'd lay down the Hudson Project story, and I guess you could say, I know people don't like the word, but I won't use, I will use one or the other in a theorist mindset that could say it was possibly a conspiracy, or, some sort of controlled false flag type of weird deal. Like, false flag at a festival, it doesn't really seem like people don't really register it because it's not real anyways. Festivals aren't real. You just go there, everything's not really real anyways. So like a false flag could happen. You're like, what the fuck's a false, and none of this is real. So, get it? Maybe that's why he was talking to me about loose harvesting and rituals going on. Yeah. And there's also another layer to that as well. In the meantime, I might make another video today about actual current events because there's a lot going on. Wanted to do one about possibility of smart dust, or do another one on honestly, the Shadowgate thing's pretty interesting. It's pretty weird. I think the Shadowgate thing's kind of weird because it brings up at one point assets, and don't people consider Alex Jones to be one? I don't know. It's weird. It's really, really strange. But anyways, yeah, I'll let you guys go. Maybe I'll make another one today. Peace.